just to show you where we are at with the reporting tool. So I'll talk about three things: introduction to the reporting tool, how it works briefly, and then a demonstration of the current version that we have running on the cloud. So let's first of all put the reporting tool into context and see how it relates with the Flint ecosystem. So the idea, I think, based on what even Rob has been sharing with us, is that you have the Flint getting input in spatial and unspatial, so in forms of input databases, and then working with them with the attached modules to produce these two sets of outputs, spatial and non-spatial, which have here labeled as output databases. So these output databases are what the reporting tool takes in to provide more meaningful output in these, tables, graphs, or other artifacts. As at the moment, the reporting tool is generating CRF tables for UNFCCC. The big vision ideally is to have it generate other forms of local and international reports. So having introduced it, I briefly want to talk about how it works. I'll break this into three parts. I examine a bit what the inputs are, what the expected outputs are, and then in the middle, what the reporting tool does to convert the inputs into the outputs. So here we have more or less a generic table of the Flux database that the Flint produces. The center of that database are the concepts that we are calling here Flux facts, which is basically a mapping of the movement of carbon from pole to pole. So each flux fact is mapped to the date that it occurred, the type of flux fact that it is, basically what caused the flux to occur. Was it somebody doing a thin event, somebody burning something after cropping period is ended? And then after the flux occurred, where did the material move from what pole to what pole? And then what is also important is the location that the flux occurred. Now, two important things to note about the location as well is that the Flint also keeps a history of the vegetation that is at that location. And since vegetations are diverse, each of them is mapped to a standard IPCC cover type. So if, for example, in Kenya, if I have maize as a vegetation history, it will be mapped to crop as a cover type. Now, the idea for the reporting tool producing the CRF tables is to basically produce these two sets of outputs that you're seeing. On the left here is a summary table for land use change, and forestry. And at the bottom is a sector report. In this case, this is table 4B for the crop, and this is a generic table 4. So at the end, what we're saying is that that Flux database, after it has been produced, we want the reporting tool to run through it and give us these two as outputs. So to talk about how it does this is the first step that it does. Notice that the Flux fact has the date, pool type, and location. And the location is mapped to a vegetation history, which I said is mapped to an IPCC cover type. But the location is not mapped to a land use class. This is because Flint is actually trying to be as generic as possible, and the issues of land use are usually policy specific. So they vary from one location to the other. So it's then the responsibility of the reporting tool to look at the vegetation history that the Flint has published and then run that through a decision tree to produce the land use classes for each location. Here is a sample of how the decision tree, for example, look like. So you go through steps, you look at the cover types through the history, and depending on where the cover types are occurring or how long you assign that to a particular land use. Now, once we have the land use classes, the next question the reporting tool asks itself is, if a particular flux occurs on a particular land use, what resulting emissions will occur, and in which tables should those emissions be aggregated? So this is the second decision that it has to make. It takes the land use that we've just ciphered from the previous step, and then it looks at the type of flux that occurred, and then using these two, it makes a decision of where a flux fact should be aggregated. That is the table and the emission type. So it will do this for all the flux facts in the database, and when it's done, it will go to the next step. So here's an example of how this looks like in a tabular format. So if, for example, if you have wildfire and forest land, the decision should be you aggregate CO2 emissions under table 4A, CH4 under 4V, and 2 under 4V, and sort of like that. So once we've determined the tables where aggregation should be aggregated, the next thing is, a flux fact has pool moving from one pool to another. So there's a source pool, there's a sink pool. So the next decision is, if you see the material moving from one pool to another, how are you supposed to aggregate that? Are you supposed to add it? Are you supposed to subtract it? So this is the next decision that it makes, and it does this for all the flux facts in the flux database. And here is a tabular example of how that looks like, for example. So if something is moving from these dead fine roads to this soil bio-F, this is how it needs to be treated for the different reporting variables. So the reporting tool looks at such a decision and does it for all the fluxes reported by the reporting tool, by the Flint, sorry. Then at the end, now you have the original Flint database transformed into this database that has a flux fact mapped to how it should be aggregated, the tables that it should be aggregated under, and the land uses for the aggregation. So after it has this final picture at hand, the reporting tool then goes through all the fluxes and aggregates them to create the CRF tables for UNFCCC reporting. So if I can jump just to the user interface, this is actually a little bit simpler when it comes to user interface. All we have to do is to go to the tool under this section called databases, and then we add a new database, which is a matter of linking a database that has been produced by the Flint. So you put here the URL to the Flint database here. You can name it the way you want, describe it the way you want, and say what here, start here and end here, that database is covering. So you just point the reporting tool to a database that has been produced by the Flint. So here I have examples of two of such database. I have a test database 1 and a test database 2. So when you do that, the reporting tool will go through all those processes that I've shown you, and it will then produce for you a dashboard. So here is an example of what we produce in the database. So the two databases that I've shown you will come here and allow you to switch between one and another. All the locations that were in the Flux database when being produced, for example, I'm using an example in Kenya. So we have the main country and counties coming at the bottom, and then the land uses that were in the database that was produced, so that you can filter between land uses if you want to see the data of just one particular land use. And then there's also the issue of the start year and the end year of that particular database. So what we do then is we show the results in a graphical manner. So here's a graph that shows the total GHG emission for the test database 2 after having been processed. So you can see it through time, the total emissions in kilotons. And then you can see that broken down by carbon pools. So if you have dead organic matter, living biomass, mineral soils, you'll see the CO2 equivalent here. And then also this will be broken down by gases. In the database that we were processing, we had only CO2. That's why you're seeing only figures for CO2 here. So this provides for you a graphical summary of all the emissions that occurred at the processing of that database. Then remember, I talked about the CRF tables. You can see a summary of them here. So if you see this, you see here a summary for the forest land. If the particular database had cropland issues, you'll also see cropland summaries here. Then you can see grasslands and wetland. This will depend on what was in the database that was being processed. And then you have this at the end of the day. You can download this if you want it for offline purposes, where you can choose to save it or open it there. So this is an example of how you can have it for offline examining and for offline examining and further reporting. So here's just an example of how that looks like. So that is a database for the whole of Kenya. You can see it had table 4. So these are the figures for table 4, 2005 all the way to 2030, because this was a test database and broken down into the sector that I was talking about for A, 4B and 4C. So ideally, if you come back here and you switch the database here, the whole of this will then change. So this was a database that had grass. So you can see this is changing into something different. And when you go down here, there's nothing unless you go to the grass table where you can see the figures. And similarly, you can download the results. So back to you. This is just an overview of what the reporting tool does. Thank you.